So if there are not any questions or any more questions, we might just switch over into our discussion group. So I don't know if it's okay for you. Maybe my colleagues are a bit shy talking a lot in English, so maybe there's an option that we switch to German, but if someone is against it or really wants to hear what we are discussing, it's also okay if we stay in English.
I certainly have no objection, as long as if you need my input, you ask me questions in English so that I can answer them.
Okay, and that would be bad if you couldn't participate. Okay, so yeah, I think we can just start in English and see if it's working. And if someone wants to speak in German, that's also possible, and we will translate to it. So, okay.
We have a long tradition in VuFind of people just speaking whatever language they're most comfortable with, and then we make the best of it.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, what our topic is today in this discussion group is that we want to talk about how we can, how the specialized information services that use VuFind can communicate better and also work better together. And in the first place, it would be a help for us if you would if you want to, you're free to do it, if you enter your name into our list of participations, so that we know who of you is maybe interested in being contacted some more times. So I will, it's a chat again. Well, that's also the wrong link, I see. So I think I need some more question, or maybe I can. So that's the pad for the participation list. Can someone put it into the Q&A field?
I've added it to the most recently asked question.
Yeah, perfect.
So
perfect.
The bottom, or the most recently answered.
Yeah. So I will just return to my presentation. So I'm sorry, it's in German now, but I think you can follow anyway. So since in the FID community, we have a common wiki where we sign in our information about the system that we use and the services we offer, so that other FID can keep track of what we are doing at the moment. And since we have this community wiki, it's a lot more clear that a lot of FID are actually using VuFind for their core infrastructure. So I took my time in the last weeks, and it's about 17 FID who are using VuFind in some ways. Most of them are using it for doing their research catalog, but there are also some FID who just present some metadata sets which are not not the main catalog. And I created a little overview. Wait, oh no, it's going from the beginning. So that's my overview of the FID who are using VuFind at the moment. And as you can see, there are many different players, and there are also some or 4 institutions who also maintain more than one FID. And I can assume that they also share human resources by doing that. And we already heard it in the lecture before that there's actually going cooperation within the institution. But and there are 6 more FID who are just maintaining one FID. So one of them is just planning the migration, as I read. So I hope we will growing a bigger, or will become a bigger community soon. And yeah, but as I know, or there's not much cooperation yet beyond these institutional borders, and that's a pity, I think. And we all know, so some context for the other viewers, we are, as I said, we are funded by the German Research Foundation, and there's just a process within the German Research Foundation that they say, of course, that it's important that we do work together by building infrastructures, and that we look in the first place if there is a service which suits to the needs of my users as well, and what can I reuse of that service. And there's also, they are saying that there's of course a lot of potential by developing together new services. And it's rightful, of course, it's a very important point, but also it's sometimes very easily said, because for many years the FID were growing for themselves, and they have different systems now, they have different formats, they have different programming languages, and in some or in many cases it's not possible to always to coordinate and share everything. But with VuFind we are in a very lucky situation, because yeah, we are using VuFind and we are using it all to display metadata. We also have very similar structural conditions. We have a target group which is not centralized at one place, but all over Germany. We have all usually have a catalog which has a very bibliographical character, and therefore we have to display very different data sets in one user interface. And we also have, for example, the need of show license or give access to licensed contents. So there's definitely the risk by these similarities that we find the same solutions to the same problems, so that we are not efficient by working for ourselves. And also there's a possibility, or a very good possibility, that we transfer or adapt features that one FID made. Of course, you also have to say it's it still means a lot of work. So reusing is not just copying some code and that's it. And it's also not, even if everybody is using VuFind, of course, there may be some cases where it's not possible. But as I said, we all have the same core infrastructure, and of course VuFind is open source, so there is a very huge potential. And yeah, so Sebastian and I just decided that we want to invite you all into the VuFind Summit to just make a discussion how we can communicate in the future, and how we can also find ways to work together, and how we could do that. And we are also willing, of course, to found a network of VuFind users within the FID community, and to moderate it. But we do not want to give you a definite definition of what this network has to do. And that's why I prepared a little Padlet. I mean, maybe some of you will know it. So I have to change my view. So let's see. I think I posted the link before, the first one. So you can just click on it, and I will. So that's a Padlet. I don't know if you have used it before. You can, or you all can add your arguments on these statements I made at the top. And yeah, you can also rate or make a, you can also put a little heart if you agree to the argument of your colleague. So, and what we are doing now, or what I want to do with you is to give you 5 minutes to put your arguments on that Padlet. and also to rate the arguments of your colleagues. And we will discuss the three most, the highest rated comments. And yeah, and we will take those ideas of yours, all of them, of course, into planning future activities around that network. So yeah, I made two statements at the top. I will translate them. So the first one is a VuFind network is useful to me if, and the other one is that the contrary for in some kind. So the other one is that the VuFind network shouldn't do something because I think it's very important if you're talking about building a network. It's also very important to define what is not possible and what do we not want, just to have also like a statement in regard to the German Research Foundation. So both of
Anna, I see that David Maus has raised his hand.
Yes.
Yes. Hello, it's me. Could you please share the link to the Padlet again? People who join the discussion later can't see the chat that went on before you joined.
There's a problem with the chat. It's not activated at the moment, so we have to put it in the Q&A. So I think if you look into the Q&A into resolved questions, there should be the link somewhere.
Yep. If you look at the most recently answered question from Ilona, thank you, Ilona. You can also go to the VuFind Summit planning document. I posted all the links that have been posted so far there. And if you're not sure where to find the planning document, you can go to vufind.org, follow the banner at the very top to the event page, and then you'll find the link in there. So we're going to make sure that we have this all fixed for tomorrow. Apologies, but you can find the link at the very bottom in the most recently answered question in the Q&A section.
Okay, I see some people are online and also typing. That's good. I think we wait until, yeah, 5:30. Oh, it's the wrong time zone again. So until past, whatever time zone you're in.
So give it about 8 minutes.
Yes, perfect.
And I'll just chip in by quickly saying, if there are any ways in which existing VuFind infrastructure can help to support this, whether that be by having events at future summits, by making use of some portion of the monthly community call, etc., I'm certainly very happy to consider that if it would support your needs.
Thank you. So type your last sentence so that we can go over and to discuss. So wow, there are many points. That's awesome. I have to read the last ones. Okay, someone just said off topic. You would like to know which FID are here. So I said in the beginning, maybe not all of you were there. We made a list of attendants where everyone could sign in. So we can send them around if everybody's okay with it. So you can always say that you don't want to. Maybe we can, okay. There's also the link in the FAQ, the Q&A. Perfect. Okay, so, wow. So we have, for the first argument, also the highest rating at the moment. So someone said that the VuFind network is useful if we could discuss VuFind specific challenges. So what kind of challenges? Maybe the one who wrote it can tell a little bit about what challenges are arising.
Sure. It's me again, David. I speak for the Fachinformationsdienst Romanistik. We currently moved to VuFind 8 from VuFind 5. And something that's, well, you should know that we also have other discovery systems, a library catalog, and we have a specialized discovery system in the pipeline. And they share modules. And we are currently looking for a way to create reusable modules. In the ideal world, we would like to install them via Composer. We do have some ideas, but this is something that might be of interest for the whole community, because this would make sharing modules for VuFind a lot easier if there's one method to install them. We currently make copy and paste, so there and some Git magic to keep them in sync.
So
and modules means for us it's always a combination of I think in VuFind it's a difference between the module and the theme. And we have the case that some modules have a theme component and some themes have a module component and some don't. So this is currently for us a Kuddelmuddel, as we say in German.
Yeah, I also just came up when I hear that, I think there's also some kind of necessity to differentiate maybe also between the programming side of VuFind and also the service, the front end side, I guess. So I think if we put all participants like project coordinators and IT personnel in one bucket, I think, yeah, I think there's also some kind of challenge in that. But I am not yet sure if it's useful to just separate them. But yeah, okay. So any other challenges someone might want to add? So and what format might be the right one to discuss those topics?
Maybe just adding a thought, because you said we not want to separate the programming side from the services side. I think it's important to identify certain services or products in which VuFind is useful, such as availability information or a user account service or something like that. Which is, I think, the task of project owners and project coordinators. And on the other side, we have the programming side to adapt those needs and to put them into a code, into a module, which can be reused throughout various FID instances and VuFind instances.
Can also type into the chat or say it in German. That's if you want to add something. So, okay. So that's one part I see. I try to just, okay, one part is challenging. I think that goes in some way together with work together at new developments, which is this argument here. So that's one area, and then I see we have the reusing, which is another area or topic area. So for my part, I think there's also some kind of communication problem because there are so many FID at the moment. As I said, it's 17 only using VuFind, and it's really hard for me to get an overview on what everyone is doing at the moment and what is useful for me. So I can agree on that topic as well, very much. So for my part, I think it also would be very useful just to give space to present those developments as exclusively in a VuFind context, more detailed. Yeah, so that's also a point. Who are the contact partners? So you know what are the project coordinators of the FID, but then it's really getting hard to keep track of all the IT working people on the project, because they are also, since we are all sitting on contracts which are not forever, there's a lot of change going on. So I think that's a very important point. Okay. See. Okay. There's also a wish for a Slack channel or FID channel in Slack. I think we can look if we can do that for us. I haven't used Slack yet, so I'm not very used to the tool, but I will take a look into it.
I have created an FID channel on Slack.
Ah, perfect. So, okay, you can always add something. Otherwise, I would just summarize a little bit what we are having here. So there's another point that the FID should just be always stay up to the newest VuFind version so that the cooperation is more easy. So I think that's not very easy. So at the moment we are at VuFind 5 and try to migrate to VuFind 6 at the moment. So there's a lot of work going into that always. But of course, it's a very important point. And this argument was mine. So as I said, it's not very easy to keep track on what the other FID are doing at the moment, and also would be very important that we document how we could use VuFind developments, document where we are preparing those developments for reusing. And I think the FID wiki is the perfect place for that. We already have that. So, when I look through it, I sometimes thought, okay, the information is not very detailed at the moment at many project sites. So there's also, I think it would be nice if everybody would just enhance it a little bit more and tell us on which VuFind version they actually are, and also put stuff like links for the GitHub or GitLab where you have your code or where your modules are presented. So this would be very nice. Okay. Can someone, the one who argued this point or made this argument, can tell a little bit about it? So I'm not sure if I get it right.
The one about the core technologies?
Yes.
Okay, so that was just a basic idea. I know it's pretty hard, but if we really want to share share features between us, then it's not only about VuFind, it's also about other developments like tools for mark processing or whatever. And sometimes for us, for example, we often make the decision, since we're working with multiple technologies, we can implement things in C++, we can implement things in PHP or in Python or whatever. And of course, we have the ones that we are that are our favorites. But of course, if we implement something in C++, which maybe no other FID works with, then it would be maybe better to implement it in PHP instead, because we also made the experience that it's more and more we have more and more programming languages to work with, and also it's even getting harder and harder to get developers that are really specialized in C++ as well as PHP or whatever. So if we really want to share in between, it might be good to have some kind of list of preferred technologies. If it's not even mandatory or something, but if you say, okay, if you're thinking about build something new, please think about using PHP first or something like this.
Yeah, okay, but that's of course also very not easy to do, since we had a lot of years to just develop on our own. So yeah, but that's an important point, of course. Yeah.
It would also not be easy for us, but I just wanted to put it into the discussion. If not many people voted for it, that's also a statement, right?
Here, someone also argued that we can use the wiki for the documentation. I think that's a very important point, because it's it wouldn't be a good idea to just build up another infrastructure. We already have one, so it's very basic, but it's very. I think it would be important to use that at the first place. Or someone disagrees, you can also speak out. Okay, otherwise I would just go to the right side, where just 3 arguments which are nonetheless the same, have the same importance, I guess. So we have to agree on what do not want, and what can we communicate also in regard to our funding. So what is not a use of the VuFind network? Okay, someone said that we all have to implement just one VuFind installation for all FID. I think that's, of course, not the thing that we want, especially since we all have our human resources at the moment, and we all have our project funding, and we all have a different target group and with different needs. So if there were no different needs, we didn't have the need to build up specialized infrastructure. So I really agree on that. The second argument is that we don't want to have how do I translate it? Just rules for every VuFind user and
mandatory rules.
Yes, mandatory rules. So that's some kind of a little bit the contradiction to that what David Maus said. Not just, he didn't say that there should be mandatory rules, but he some kind argued that, of course, it's useful to just talk to each other about the tools that we use. But of course, mandatory rules would also be very hard for us. Yeah, I agree on that.
Well, I mean, you can't. I don't mean any mandatory rules. I say that. Yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't. I just said that's the same.
If we want to reshare modules, then we need to talk about technology. And also, there's no one who can enforce these normative rules because we are all independent. There's maybe one party that could, and this is the German Research Foundation. And I think that's, at least in a long perspective, this is something we should prepare, that they will ask, I know my boss. So he says, why not one VuFind for everyone? It's the same, it's FID, it's the same problem. Why not use a single software system that solves all problems?
Yeah.
So I was thinking in the what we should do in the network is we might also diplomacy, start to discuss how to approach the German Research Foundation, for example.
Yes, of course.
To be aware that if we start to build a network, then they will expect us to reuse modules, to reuse code. I think this is something that's quite difficult to discuss because it's politics, and we all know that there are no limitless funds. So there will be the situation where in one point in the future, we might be konkurrieren. We might fight for resources. So at least this is in a long perspective. And from my limited view of what the German Research Foundation is doing, then this is what we should expect.
Yeah.
I've heard they move away from everybody does its own to let's share resources, and this means cutting costs, and this means standardization. And I think this would be also the chance with this network, just to be proactive about it and try to bring unsere Schäfchen ins Trocken, bring our sheep in the dry, or whatever.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, there's also, I think, some stuff we just have to find out, and just because we use VuFind, it doesn't mean it's easy to just reuse things. But I agree on that point. If a new FID is created, then it's really, really useful to just in the first place look at the other FID and see, okay, what can I use of them? What is useful? I think it will be very hard to cooperate if for those FID who are working for many years on their own, and then now they have to go together and do everything together, and we have to communicate that is not a possible way for us. And the last point also goes in that direction, that the applying for funding shouldn't be more work, because if we are all funded for only 3 years period, and we are not all in the same phase. So if we prepare for applying together, we don't know how. I actually not yet know how to do that. If one FID is applying in summer 2021 and the other one is applying in 2023 sometime, how should we do that, and to coordinate us accordingly to even work together? So that's also a very important point. I think, yeah, we have to discuss it, and we have to also to find it out, and we also we have to try out maybe also. And if you have some, for example, a use case where we can say, okay, one FID found one feature very interesting and wanted to reuse it, but it didn't work because of we have some kind of documentation on that, and we can go with that to the German Research Foundation in some case, and can define where it's useful and where it's not useful. So that's very important.
Maybe at this point, when I'm looking at the clock, we do a little wrap up of everything, because it's 10 to 6 p.m. What I see here is that I think it is consent that we need to know more from each other, as I see that we know little about other developments from other FIDs in VuFind. So maybe it's a good idea. We wanted to use this summit and our speech here as a kind of kickoff meeting for a VuFind network of all FIDs. What I think might be useful is if we put up some sort of marketplace idea, that we collect information that every FID who uses VuFind is invited to share information about services that are realized with a VuFind instance, with specific modules that have been developed by an FID, and we put all this information together so we can see what is there actually. And in the next step, we could use this kind of marketplace or this kind of exchange network to address some specific needs. If one FAD wants to implement a service that another has already implemented, they can share code or develop new codes together. Would it be a good idea?
I agree.
Well, so I think that would be our next step to form a AG FID committee who exclusively deals with VuFind topics. So as we have here a place where we can discuss further implementations of modules and services in VuFind.
If I can jump in with a quick suggestion, I do feel like one area where VuFind could stand to grow further, and there has been work done, is in making it easier to share modular extensions. There's been some interesting work with Composer. There's currently an open pull request 2287 that looks at embedding custom JavaScript through this mechanism. It would be great to have more people looking at that and thinking about it so that we have a standard for interchange of functionality. I think that seems like something that would really support what you're trying to do, and also the broader community.
Thanks, Damien. Yeah,
Thank you.
that's
what we also have in mind to just, as Sebastian said, it's this meeting is just like a kickoff meeting, but furthermore, it would also be nice to just come together in person and take our time to make a workshop or to discuss all these topics listed here. So that's the idea that we have for I think the beginning of 2023 to do a workshop. So is it what do you think of that idea?
Well, I think we have to get started at some point, and it's good to have some basis to know which FID has which features implemented anyway. I mean, I don't really know that, or which features of the implemented features are shareable to a certain degree and these kinds of things. So I mean, I can only speak for me or for my person. I'm willing to support that in any way if I can. But I heard that there are also other committees that are forming right now, and so if you find a certain good platform to do that, I'm also willing to participate in that for the Tübinger FIDs, of course.
Thanks. That would be great.
But maybe Martin could also say something about it, since he's also here in the presentation. I think I'm not sure if he's already a panelist.
It doesn't look like he is set as a panelist, and I don't seem to have the ability.
Okay, I just know that he's also involved in lots of the other committees regarding FIDs, but maybe also the other FIDs could say a bit about themselves if they're willing to participate. And of course, then the important question would be, how do we get it started? When would be a good date for a workshop and so on? So we should try. I don't know. Maybe you can try to send an email to all the FID contact persons, and we could try to see. I mean, I know that there are also the coffee lectures. I think that they want to start now, and yeah, maybe we can do something like this or something similar as well.
Yeah, that would be the plan. So I think the next step that we would make, Sebastian and me, would be just to wrap up all the arguments that are made here, and then just get in contact to you. So again, if you signed into our participation list, that would be very helpful, so we can get back to you and make some suggestions, not a good word, how we can move on with our network.
And where is the list again? Sorry.
It's in the FAQ sections by the answered questions. So
it is also in the planning document at the bottom.
Okay, good. All right.
I made a section for today and tomorrow of talk links so that we don't lose any of these until we can get this sorted out.
Okay, maybe I'm already in there.
Okay.
One of my colleagues put me in.
Perfect. That's perfect. Okay. So I don't know what is the end time of the session? I think it's now, right?
Yes, it is formally ending
okay.
now, but I'm happy to leave the meeting open if people wish to stay. But I imagine you probably have other things to do with your evenings too.
Okay. No, I think we that's a good ending. So Sebastian also did a good wrap up on the topics on our Padlets. So yeah, I think we take that home and we'll get to you soon. And yeah, thank you very much for your input and also for your willingness to switch into English with all these complicated library words. So it was also a challenge for me, I have to admit. But yeah, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for putting this together. I'm glad we were able to make good use of the time, and I look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow for day 2.
Thank you, Damien.
Thank you.
Thank you.